All right, so I made a video about self-awareness. I want to make this video about self-discipline and how self-discipline is almost like I briefly mentioned it in the video, before, but it's like they go hand in hand and they are very important because like a lot of people know that I was single. I ended up single a year ago and I've been single for the past year. I live alone and no one's around me to motivate me to do anything, right? Like no one's but no one has anyways. Like even when I had the girl, even when I had the whatever, like no one can motivate you but you can get people to help you, to boost you, to build each other up and whatever, but it requires self-discipline to get yourself to a point where you can even get to that point. But first you need self-discipline, right? It required self-discipline for me to get in shape, right? Like for me to start working out, for me to work on all of these things I'm doing, all these projects I'm doing, my music, my this, my that, my business, my audit, like all this shit. But it's required a lot of self-discipline, and it's required me to have the humility to look at myself and see, okay, what do I need to work on, right? Because humility is a whole nother thing where I can go to a whole nother video for that. Because you know sometimes we don't realize we need discipline, because it's like self-discipline can be looked at in two aspects. Like you have the self-discipline to be able to get up and go for a hike when you don't want to because that's the basic of it. That doing what you don't want to do because you know you have to do it, right? Like doing what you don't want to do because it has to be done. And but then there's the other form of self-discipline, which is in a sense putting yourself on discipline, right? Being that once you became an adult, you became the person that has to discipline yourself when you do something wrong. When you act up, you have to, like, because that's what I mean by, like, for me, yes, I smoke THC. I vape THC. I don't smoke cannabis flower right now, but I smoke THC, many different cannabinoid derivatives and all that, but it's all in like the distillate form or the shatter form or the wax form. Um but I don't just sit there and get high as fuck all day and don't do anything, right? Like I'm self-disciplined where even in the past, right, years ago, it was like when it was as simple as I wouldn't smoke until I cleaned the house. At some point I stopped wake and baking and started being like, okay, what has to be done first and then smoke? And now it's like, okay, sometimes like because of what THC like distillate doesn't have as much as lethargic effect, so it's not as lethargic. So sometimes I'll just vape and work out, or sometimes I'll vape, make music, do this or whatever. But I had to become self-disciplined to quit smoking weed, right? The flower itself, because the flower tends to make me more lethargic. But that's just a personal thing for me, because that's me. So many people don't have enough self-discipline, so they just go off and quit cannabis altogether, right? Because they don't have the discipline to be able to say, okay, I don't have to smoke this all day long, right? I can work on my shit and then get high as fuck at night, because that's what I used to do. I used to get slightly high throughout the day and then get high as fuck at night, right? Especially if it was a day where I got a lot done. And these are little things where you can like start to put things in order for your own life, so you're not just sitting there. I don't know, because I don't drink alcohol, but I bet people need to do that with alcohol as well, right? Where it's like put yourself on discipline, where it's like you only drink on this day, or if you get this and this accomplished, or whatever, because it's the same thing with me. And as much as I talk about my psychedelic experiences, as much as I talk about all these different experiences, I'm working my ass off on a lot of different projects and things I'm doing, like all the time, including just thinking about the things and just working all this shit out that I'm working on. and it takes a lot of work, as well as I'm a father, as well as I live alone, as well as I whatever, all these different things. um but it's like I had to find the balance between, I'm not quitting cannabis, like, well, I'm not quitting THC. Like, you got to know yourself, right? Because like people be like, you have to have the self-discipline. You should quit cannabis. You should quit alcohol. You should quit all drugs. You should go sober because that's what I did. Or you should whatever. That's what I did because that person had no self-discipline to be able to use the thing as what, like, to find a balance with it. So they had to cut it out altogether. And that's fine. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But for me, it's not about quitting. It's not about becoming sober. It's not about I don't know, like, taking things away from me as much as it's about learning how to control myself, right? Having self-discipline, learning how to, okay, I don't want to work out. Who the fuck wants to work out? But I do it because it has to be done. And like, I'm the one that told myself it has to be done. No one tells me I have to work out. No one tells me I have to work on my albums. No one tells me that I have to work on the things that I work on every day. I wake up every single day and I'm in my bed alone. I wake up every day, Monday through Friday, by myself in my own apartment by myself. No one's telling me to clean it but me. I mean, I'm by myself, so there's not much to clean. It doesn't really get messy. But like that, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, no one does these things. No one tells me to do these things but me, and it's self-discipline that I'm able to get up every day and take one step forward, another step forward, and another step forward until I figure out a way to get to where I'm trying to go. And like, I'm not motivated by money. Yeah, the money probably is gonna come, but big whoopity-doo, who fucking cares, right? I'm not motivated by fame or any of that other shit, right? Maybe it'll come, who fucking cares? I'm just working on what I want to do with my life. And I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? And then I'm like, okay, how can I fucking do that thing? How can I try to do that thing? How can I attempt to do that thing? Maybe I'm going to fall on my face while I try to do that thing. And that's fucking fine, because I'm going to get right back up and continue trying. Like, it's another form of self-discipline where it's like, you fail, you fall, and then you have to have the self-discipline enough to get back up again, because it's resilience, yes, and it's like the ability to like handle adversity and be able to get knocked down and get back up without losing your motivation, without losing the original energy that you had when you started it. But that's also some self-discipline shit, where it's, when you fall, you're going to lose energy. When you fall, you're going to lose momentum. When you fall, you're going to lose a little bit of balance, a little bit of whatever. And the self-discipline is you getting back up and working hard to get your energy back up to the point where it was when you fell, and then work hard even more to get farther, to make sure you don't fall again. Like, this is all self-discipline. It's all in your mind. It's all, what do you think about? What do you want to do with your life? And like, self-discipline enough to not fall into the brainwashing of TV, right? There's a lot of the older generation doesn't realize that TV was a drug that they were brainwashed with, right? And a lot of the younger generation doesn't realize that they're being brainwashed today with certain tools that they could be using to change their life. The same tools that a lot of people are using to destroy their life is the same tool that could change their life for the better forever. It's just a matter of self-discipline. Social media is not a good thing or a bad thing. It's good or bad depending on whose hand it's in. Depending on how much self-discipline the man has will depend on what he'll be able to do with the tool, right? You give a man with no self-discipline access to free drugs, free porn, free all this shit all day, this man will never do anything with his life forever, right? You give a man free access to, and let's say remove the porn, remove that shit. You give a man just free access to comfort, to a beautiful wife and a beautiful life, and most men won't do anything either. Like, it's the self-discipline to figure out, okay, what do you want? Because some people just want a beautiful wife and a beautiful life, and that's great, right? If that's what you truly wanted. But a lot of people settle because what they really wanted required so much more self-discipline that they just couldn't, they just said, I can't do it, so then they settled when they could have done it. Everyone can do it. Really, everyone can do whatever the fuck, right? You can all change your life right now. Last year, I ended up single, and like, I didn't break up with the girl broke up with me, but 2 years ago I had no idea that I would be single. So what I'm saying is, life can change in an instant. Everything can change on you, but the one thing that can't change is, like, that's why self-discipline, self-love, self-awareness, these things are so fucking important, because yeah, people are gonna leave you, people are gonna die in your family that are it's random shit. You might end up left alone randomly, right? You might end up whatever. But you can't, like, your self-discipline has to remain the thing where it's like, it's that resilience, because when life hits you hard, you get back up and you continue moving, just like no other thing. When life hands you problems, it's no different than when you fall on your face. You then have to get back up, rebuild your energy back up, and then continue moving forward. But that all requires self-discipline. It requires self-awareness. It requires the ability to know yourself, know what you need to work on, know what, like, the ability to look at yourself and be able to see, well, what went wrong with yourself, right? Because it's not like, if something went wrong, it wasn't somebody else. It wasn't, yeah, maybe there's partners involved, maybe there's other people involved, but if something went wrong, and from your perspective, it's always your fault. Your life, your fault, right? Always. So this is why I say all these things are important with the self-awareness. This is about self-discipline, but like, it's just so fucking important, because like, I had to have the self-discipline to come out here all the time, right? Like, I come out here all the time, I go on these hikes, and it's like, I don't really see many people. Like, I see one or two people, like, the whole fucking entire summer of me being down here hiking or whatever, and it's like, where the fuck is everybody? Everyone talks about, Mother Nature being disconnected because of technology, but the truth is, people are only disconnected because they lack self-discipline. That as soon as technology became a thing, people got so wrapped up into it because they lack self-discipline to come outside. Like, you can come outside with technology, right? Like, it's right here, and this is right here, and it's not about putting the phone down or putting the technology down. It's about learning. It's about gaining self-discipline. It's about what are you doing with the tools, and it's not just about coming outside. It's about what are you doing when you're outside. If you're spending more time outside but you're not actually enjoying it or connecting or whatever, then like, what's the point? It's no different than spending time inside. This is all a matter of like self-discipline, right? People just need to put themselves on check in a sense, right? Sometimes we need to check ourselves to make sure, like that old saying is real, you gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's some real shit though, like, because sometimes it's the matter of you not being disciplined enough to do what you need to do. And discipline is just like a muscle. You can build your muscles up, you can build your discipline up, you can learn, you can gain more self-awareness, you can gain more self-discipline, you can gain more of these things. It just takes time, and it takes humility to be able to look at yourself and to be able to see, okay, maybe I don't have enough self-discipline. How do I fix that? Maybe I don't have enough self-awareness. How do I fix that? How you fix self-awareness, I can tell you, easier than fixing self-discipline. Fixing self-awareness, ask the closest people around you, okay? The closest people around you. Ask them things about you that you don't think you know about you. And don't react. Like, literally, give them the space to be able to answer the question without feeling like they're going to hurt your feelings, or without feeling like you're going to react out of, like, anger or ego or whatever. Because if you can get the closest people around you to be honest with you about you, like honestly honest with you about you, and be comfortable enough, that will gain you more self-awareness than anything you've ever experienced other than a psychedelic experience. I would say that that would be like a sober psychedelic experience, where if you could get like a intervention of your friends to sit down and then kind of tell you things about you that that you don't know, or negative traits or whatever the fuck, and giving them the space to do that. Self-discipline is a little harder, because self-discipline, I don't know if, like, self-awareness is just a lack of your ability to see yourself, but other people can see you better than you can see you, or other people can see your negative traits better than you can. But with self-discipline, it's a little more complicated, because with self-discipline, it's like, okay, how do you get somebody to be more disciplined? Like, they have to realize or become aware that their lack of self-discipline will cause a less fulfilled life. Like, so if you can get someone to understand that their lack of self-discipline, and if they gained more self-discipline, they'd have a more fulfilled life. They would have more things in them, like, of what they want. They would feel better on a daily basis. They would whatever the fuck, because it's not about just gaining material things. It's also about having the self-discipline of your mind, of learning how to control your mind. Learning how to gain control of your mind is another fucking thing, where it's like, I might have that be a separate video next to, like, this whole thing with self-discipline, because I think that's kind of the ultimate version of all of this combined into one thing, learning how to control your mind. But yeah, I'm gonna make that a separate video. So much love, everybody.